want to take a moment to welcome everyone to the Watch This Shit podcast. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with us. My name is Seneca, the movie professor. Today I have my collaborator and corroborator here, Young Sam. Go ahead and introduce yourself, bro.
Hey, it's Young Sam, aka the Movie Apprentice.
Mm-hmm. And with this podcast, we're going to give you the definitive decision on whether you should go view a new movie release or not. It's real easy. If we say, watch this shit, stop what you're doing, and enjoy some good cinema. If we say, don't watch this shit, avoid it as you would dating a chick that has been Frankenstein together. Or don't. You can do what you want. It may be fun, or you may have to deal with more personalities than you typically would. You don't want to listen to us, you put your life in your own hands. When we went to see Die Hard for the first of our Christmas reviews, it made me remember the good old days. Back when the 20th Century Fox fanfare would open up for some of our favorite movies. It made me long for the days when Star Wars had that iconic music play before its opening crawl. Now we only get to hear it when we revisit old classics or in front of Searchlight pictures. It also made me nostalgic for titties. The 80s was just infested with tit shots. Your favorite action hero turns a corner. You never know if it's going to be a bad guy waiting to be punched by him or a set of random boobs. It was a great time. Well, wouldn't you know, today's film is giving us both. Add both of those things to the list of things we need but didn't appreciate until they were gone. Today's review is brought to you by Searchlight, no longer Fox. We're going to talk about Poor Things. They went and turned artwork into a film. What were they thinking? Let's get into the story. A mad scientist has the genius idea to reanimate a recently dead lady by putting the brain of her unborn baby into her skull. It's so obvious. What else would you do under those circumstances? All for research purposes, he monitors the growth and progression of this new creature. He also keeps her hidden from the world as people already think him a monster, and there is no doubt that he will be ridiculed for this perversion. All children eventually want to venture out into the world, and this one is no different. There comes a time in which the scientist can no longer shield her from the world and allows her to go on an adventure. During her travels, she learns a lot about the world, but even more about herself. How does this child in an adult's body develop, and what does she bring out in those around her? Young Sam, can you believe they didn't just try this experiment once, but they did the shit twice? The audacity.
Yeah, it was like, I thought it was pretty funny because they was like, oh, well, she's gone. Well, let's find somebody else.
Exactly. I'm about to get a visitor. I told her that I was recording, and Mason is here. So thank you. Got some candy cane Hershey Kisses. We couldn't find them in the store. I'm debating on if we need to take this out of the review.
You keep it going.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So we got some. This portion of the program is brought to you by Candy Cane Hershey's Kisses. That was ultra important. My baby had to make sure that I got that. But yeah, moving on with the review. Emma Stone is the focus of the story. She plays Bella, the woman that formerly had an entire life until she allegedly got tired of it and unalived herself. This puts things in motion that eventually lead to her being born again, but with the brain of an infant. She is called upon to show progression of her character, not just in knowledge, but language, walking, negotiating relationships between other humans, and sexuality. Yes, we getting into that early. I love what this film did with the idea of being sexually free. Take a person that doesn't completely understand forced morality and give them the freedom to learn what feels good. She makes a comment after one of her sexual trysts to the extent of, why don't people just do this all the time? That is the sentiment I feel constantly. Society has placed such shame on the one part of life that is the most beautiful. We as a people have been fucked up by what others believe should and shouldn't take place, and not in a good way. I'll get into that more when I go into detail about her horse adventures. Before that, though, Sam, did you believe that this character really jumped off a bridge while she was with child, or do you think her father figure was hiding something from all of us?
I believe that she jumped off the bridge with
Okay.
with child because, well,
Mm.
hmm, now you got me thinking.
Uh-huh.
I think she did. I think she did because in the end they were talking about the kid, right? Her and her her real husband.
Uh-huh.
They were talking about the kid, or did they? I don't know.
No, they were talking about the kid, but the fact that she was with him for so long and just
Hmm.
all of a sudden decided to jump off a bridge. I know he was trying to remove her clitoris. I know that.
Jesus Christ.
But she was living in that situation for all those years.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I just looked at it from a different perspective, right? He knew her father, William Defoe. He knew to keep her
Hmm.
hidden. He got her body from a random man that we never see outside of his retelling of that story. And the biggest clue of all is the character is played by William Defoe. And he
Hmm.
was playing a character named God. He would definitely be an unreliable narrator. The makeup
Hmm.
department needs to be nominated for all the awards, as they took this crazy ass looking dude and made him look even crazier. That is not an easy task. He, as her father, is initially seen as antagonistic because he is attempting to stop her from her goal of exploration, stopping her from leaving the safety of his home and later attempting to keep her from seeing the world. He carries deep rooted trauma as his father before him was a scientist that used him for his experiments. This device, oh, sorry, hold on. Part of his insides were removed, so now he has to connect a contraption to himself while eating. This device assists with the digestion as he does not create the necessary fluids to break down food. One of the tricks this allows him to perform is when he burps with the machine attached, he is now able to blow large brown bubbles that delight Bella when she's in her younger minded state. Defoe's God also was mutilated to the extent that he has no genitals. This is important as his relationship with Bella can never progress into a romantic one, and he has to employ another one of his students in order to get that data. I honestly believe there are more schemes he's involved in that we just don't get to witness. Listen, anybody that creates homunculi is automatically evil. I learned this by watching Full Metal Alchemist. Thinking about that little
Yeah.
girl that got merged with her pet still fucks with my brain. Fuck you, Shao Tucker. The guy we see in this film has so many ducks with dog heads and dogs with duck heads. He has to be a villain. Young Sam, how did the tragic beauty of Stone and Defoe's father-daughter, creation relationship hit for you?
It was weird. Like I went when they were doing the dynamic and they were going through everything, and I was like, this is a very kind of disturbing movie. Um, but their dynamic, it was just strange to me. Like this whole movie was just strange.
Mm-hmm. That's why I
It
call it
was
art. It was art brought into turned into a movie.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. The supporting cast of this film kind of guides the direction the movie takes. Every new person that Bella meets brings a new experience or awakening to parts of her development that were locked. The one that is most affected by her innocent charm is Mark Ruffalo. He steals her away from her creator and the guy that she's betrothed to, played by Rami Youssef, in order to go on a whirlwind sex tour. I mean, once she discovers intimate relations, she becomes an entirely different person, opening up to being an extremely sexual woman, but still retaining that childlike innocence ensnares Ruffalo's character entirely. He is used to being the one that women fawn over, but her nonchalant attitudes toward him, mixed with the furious jumping she puts on him, fucks his brain up. So much so that when they eventually don't work out, he has to be committed to a mental asylum. That's some great box to make a nigga lose his entire mind. Another great honorable mention of the supporting cast is Gerard Carmichael. I have never seen a performance of his that I thought was worthy of a second mention. Most movies he's in, he is basically a glorified extra. In this film, he has a keen fashion style. He is able to put up arguments with his traveling friend that causes Bella from just being around them to expand her vocabulary and understanding of the world. He is the cause of one of the biggest revelations that inform Bella's view of the planet she lives on. Sam, did you notice how every time she met a new person, she picked up a new skill?
I didn't until you just mentioned it. I was like, "Oh, yeah." So, I mean, it's a really on on the surface, it's a disturbing movie, but it has so many layers, and it's actually deep.
Yes.
Like, I mean, she's a child, so child just learn by different things, meeting new people. Oh, okay, okay, I'm in for the ride.
Yes. My favorite part of the film was the title cards during the travels. To mark different points in the journey, the filmmakers put up black and white video album players, very similar to if you click on a song by your favorite artist on Spotify, that were phenomenal. There was one that showed Bella walking down a stair of fingers that marked the character's trip. I believe they were going to Lesbon. During this part of the film is when the on the nose meaning of the title was derived. Carmichael's character forces Bella to learn of people that are so unfortunate and destitute that if the rich were to walk down the stairs to where they lay, the poor things would rip apart and eat the rich. That's what causes the character to grow up further and want to help the whole of humanity. She is later met with the impossibility of saving all the poor, which puts her at odds with her traveling companion, Ruffalo. She took his money to give to the poor. Unbeknownst to her, she was swindled out of her loot.
Mhm.
And then we get a look into what he really is, a poor, pathetic shell of a man. Without the material possessions that have shielded him from the harsh world, he becomes, well, nothing but an annoyance. Oppositely, Bella, in the same circumstances, chooses to take something she's good at and makes a career. Young Sam, can you help me explain the video card thing? I can see it in my brain, but it's one of those things that's very hard to put into words.
Oh, it was like it just kind of flowed with the movie. It was just like I said, it's just art. So, and it's I don't know. It is kind of hard to put into words.
Like, yeah, like you gotta see it. It's
Yeah,
ethereal music on a black and white screen with a picture there's it's moving, but it's barely any motion.
yeah, and it has the title character, and she just it's almost like a loading screen, kind of.
Almost like a loading screen. I'm glad you said that.
Yeah.
Yes, almost like a loading screen. My second favorite thing was the almost whimsical, no, fuck that. It was whimsical scenery of the film.
Mm.
Some of the sets look like stop motion constructs with dirigibles and trolleys on wires in the sky. These look like they were toys or animatronics instead of real life machines a human could ride in. It had a very Wes Anderson aesthetic to the filming. Early in the film, it starts in black and white. Then, when she travels outside of the safety of God's protection, the world explodes in colors. Bright pastels and eye catching hues are in the clothing, but also in the architecture. This is symbolic of the things that were kept from her being so bright and shiny. Not long after seeing the beauty of the world, she quickly finds the seedy part. As she walks the streets and goes to the unders, the colors become darker and more muted. The designers took care into carefully crafting this to visually explain what she was experiencing in her mind. The clothing was also very Victorian, with Bella wearing a lot of big puffy outfits. When they visit Paris in the winter, the buildings and the ground are covered in white snow, but the trees are solid red. It's amazing to see. When I said this is a piece of art put to film, I wasn't exaggerating. One of the funniest scenes sees them dancing in a ballroom. Everyone else is like a product of the time period they live in. But of course, Bella, being as unrefined as she is just doing whatever her body says she should be doing while listening to this type of music. I was shocked when Ruffalo jumped in and matched her energy. To add to the bombasticness, you never know what's coming next. Pieces of this film, the scene ends with them jumping a man and that same guy getting kicked in the balls. Sam, tell the people your thoughts on the artistic expression on display in this film.
Yeah, the movie was like the sets were very good. They were very well, like you said, the colors just kind of they were there. Like it was like a hue, but they just stood out,
Mhm.
and the wardrobes, they were all kind of Victorian style. Um, it was just I don't know, like you say, it's art because like the colors, they just all seem to match. Everything just seemed to match for the time period that they were in. Um, Gerard Carmichael, his outfit was always on point. Um, I don't know. Like I said, it's just kind of a painting on film.
That's the best way to describe it. Okay, you got me. I know I just said my favorite thing was the title cards and my second favorite thing was the scenery. Please excuse me as I correct myself. Those are actually second and third favorite. The thing I like best was Emma Stone's boobs just coming to see me whenever they felt like it. This movie was sexy as hell, and it did what I've been asking Hollywood to do for a very long time. When you see a dirty, flaccid penis, you immediately get to see a beautiful set of boobs. Have something for everyone, is what I've been saying. They overcorrected in today's times, and now everywhere you look, dicks just jumping out of the screen, damn near in 3D. I've said it before. There's a very small percentage of people in the world that want to just unsolicitedly see a dick. Bella, as soon as she discovers there's a thing as orgasms, can't stop herself. On her travels, when her and Ruffalo are left in Paris with not a lot of money and even less options, she learns that she has been sitting on a gold mine this entire time. She is taken in by a brothel, and that thing gets put to work making money. The scenes are fairly comical, but there's something for everyone. It has definitely helped that Stone is a Hello Nurse. It never reached the levels of Nymphomaniac Part 1 in its levels of sexual depravity. I'm sure just because they didn't want to get a dreaded mature rating. I really do like to see this type of thing on screen. Nymphomaniac being a great entry in the genre. We Americans always show the most heinous acts of violence, but when it comes to the most beautiful action we can partake in, we get all prudish. Let's fix that. Bring sex back to cinema. Young Sam, do you think the sexual level of this film was too high, or did it make sense in what is basically a coming of age story for a person's brain?
No, I think it was adequate enough. Like you said, it's a coming of age story, so sex is part of coming of age. And she had a lot of it.
Man.
Boy, she was giving that box away.
Now she was charging, I think it was 30 pieces, 30 francs.
Oh yeah, but I mean, she let the tattoo artist, lick her up a little bit.
He did get it for free. Well, no, he paid with tattoos.
Oh yeah, yeah. And then
Uh-huh.
Mark Ruffalo banged his head on the counter. Boy.
Hey, she put him through it. Yeah, she put him through everything.
Hmm.
You got anything else you want to say before we wrap it up?
Um, no, I mean, if you're not easily disturbed by the images that you're gonna see when the movie first comes on, you're gonna really enjoy this film. Uh, if you're disturbed by the images when they first come on, just wait a little bit. They go away,
Mm,
and you start to see the movie really develop, and you see Emma Stone's character just really develop from basically an infant to an adult all in the span of what, an hour? But it was
mhm.
just so well done. But yeah, definitely watch this, but don't bring your kids.
You better not bring your kid. My final verdict is watch this shit. I thoroughly enjoyed the journey through this fantastical telling of coming of age. The cast performed admirably, especially Stone, who had to be herself, but at different stages of her mental evolution, all during the same movie while looking the same. From nonverbal to being able to rationalize how she fits into the world. She nailed it. And I'm happy that I was able to see this movie, even though they kind of tried to hide it from us because it was only in a
Yeah.
few theaters.
Yeah, what was up with that? Like, come on. They
Yeah.
give these other movies these
Mhm.
big box office and multiple theaters, but then the true art, it's like, oh, we give you like two theaters. Like, come on.
And I think it's the prudishness of Americans, right? Just talked about it
Yeah.
because it had that sexual imagery in it. They wanna kinda
Mhm.
shield it from people, and that's not cool. That's the
Yeah.
most like I said, the most beautiful part of life, and we try to hide that. But the violence and the cussing and the drama, we put that out front. That we're so
Yeah.
backwards.
Yeah. I agree on that. Yeah.
Alright. Thank you for listening to another episode of Watch This Shit. You come here for the realest take on new movies. So make sure you follow us so you're not left in the dark on whether you should check out a new movie or not. If you haven't seen the shit yet, what the fuck are you waiting for? We told you what to do. Now it's up to you to go do it. Check us out next time when we review Ferrari. And good day to you.